G'day everyone. After a pretty busy day, I have arrived today at the location of the Burke's flat bending headlights case that occurred on the 4th of April 1966. Now 10 years ago this year, back in November 2013, myself, Andrew Arnold and Ivan Rigoni, we had the pleasure of bringing Ron Sullivan back to this location for the first time in decades, since he'd had that famous bending headlights case. So on the 4th of April 1966, Ron was driving from Maryborough up to Wycheproof, and it was about 8 o'clock at night at this location where he saw a very strange light complex in this field behind me. As he approached, he thought it was a tractor engaged in night ploughing, but that's not what it was. And as he came closer, he saw this object divide up into two halves, like an ice cream cone. And it had all these streams of colours running from the top to the bottom half. And as he approached, the headlights on his car began to flicker. And as they flickered, his headlights were bent off the road towards the object. Now Ron put the brakes on, and he narrowly avoided hitting a tree, which was on the opposite side of the road to me. And he then continued on his way to Wycheproof, checked his headlights when he got to St Arnaud, and was puzzled by it. And then 3 days later, a young man, Gary Taylor, was killed in his car at this spot where I'm standing when he drove into a tree, which was very mysterious circumstances. Now this brought Ron forward to say to the local police, hey, I had a really strange encounter at Burke's flat in this field where I'm just about standing on the edge of the paddock. And they came out here and they saw the wreckage of where the car had been, and Ron and his friend and his daughter, Hugh Hunter was the local reporter, they found a circular impression in the field behind me here. And you also found some dead birds. Now, we went through all of this back in our Viewfoa video on Burke's flat in November 2013, which a lot of people will have seen. Now, the only reason I'm standing here today is because me and my wife, Tien, we came up to Heathcote, which is just near Bendigo. And I said to myself, we're just too close to not come back here again for one more visit. So it's been 10 years since I actually stood here in this location, and it's great to be back again. Now, Ron's since passed away and he's no longer with us. And that story was told in the Bending Headlights case, which you can find on Viewfoa TV on YouTube. And seeing it such a beautiful day, I thought it'd just be great to take the hour-and-a-half drive west of Bendigo with the sun in our eyes to come here and stand here one more time. So it really is one of Australia's great UFO cases. And it was only 2 days before the Westall incident on the 6th of April 1966. So this field behind me here has a very special place in Australian ufology. Now, while we were here with Ron, we happened to place a plaque on a tree opposite the location where I'm standing, and I can see that it's still there. Now, at the time, we nailed it to the tree, and I know it's come off since, someone's pulled it off or whatever, but another person's come out here who I don't know, and I thank them, and they've tied it back onto the tree again. So we'll go over and have a look at that in a minute. So it's only by complete happen chance that I actually made it out here. This was not a planned trip. I didn't have any intention of coming here today other than making it just on the wing in the moment. So I'll grab some more shots and we'll have a look at the location as it is today. So as you can see, it's just a beautiful day out here. And the last time we were here in 2013, this paddock was full of long grass. Ron and I were standing waist deep in it. But today there's no long grass here. It's not springtime, so we're heading into winter. And you can see that the field is now pretty much just green grass, loose rocks everywhere. And it's marked by those two big gum trees. If you look at the old photographs of the encounter, those two big trees were central to this location. And where the circle was is about a midway out in that field there. So it's not very far out into the field, but I'm not going to go out there today because I haven't contacted the owners, and I don't walk onto private property without express permission. But I've been out there before in that previous video, and you can certainly, I'll put a link to that as well so you can watch that. Now this old tree that's standing here was definitely there in 1966, and if I walk up to it you can see that it actually was ring barked years ago. So those chop marks around the outside of it there, that's when it was killed back in the day. But this is one of the remaining trees that stood there when Ron had that encounter on the 4th of April 1966. So if that tree could talk, that would be it'd be quite an incredible tale to tell as well, I'm sure. Isn't it funny that when we come out here to Burke's Flat that there's actually a headlight sitting on the ground? So the irony of that's not lost on me either. So here is that memorial marker that we put to Ron's encounter here. It says 39-year-old Ron Sullivan encountered the lights of a landed UFO 80 metres from the fence across the road at this site at 8:15 p.m. on the 4th of the 4th, 1966. 19-year-old Gary Taylor died at this site in his car that hit a tree on the 7th of the 4th, 1966. This plaque was placed here by Mr. Ron Sullivan. So here we are with the plaque. It's been 10 years since I've stood here with Ron at that time. Can't believe I'm back. Not a planned trip, but sometimes you just got to take those opportunities when they present. So this is the straight stretch of road that leads up to the site where the UFO landed. And as you can see, it's a very straight stretch of road. And as Ron was travelling along here and about where these road markers are, this is where his lights started to flicker. And when he looked across into that field there, that's where he saw that very strange light complex out there beyond those trees there. So I would have given anything to have been here on that date, the 4th of April 1966, and had the privilege to have seen what Ron saw. And it's a very important Australian UFO case, and he was a very credible witness. The crashed tree was about in this location here. It's been long gone. And if you look at the old photos when Gary Taylor died, this is where the police were standing, right in this area where the crashed tree stood. But it's been gone for many, many years. Now that big gum tree right there was the marker tree that actually helped me find this location. Back in 1980, Bill Chalker came here, and the crash tree was still here at that time, and past the crash tree was that very distinctive shaped big gum tree. So it's great to come out and see another old friend from 2013 that helped us to find the location, and many thanks to Bill Chalker, who also helped us find this exact spot. Yeah, there's just so many memories of being out here when we brought Ron back to this location. And I think one of the best ones for me was we came back that night and we stood out in this field, and it was nearly a full moon night, not quite full moon. There was silvery light everywhere, and I walked out into this field and just tried to approximate the actual location where the impression had been on the ground. Just stood there looking at the stars. So if you ever do get the chance, the location is at the 263 road marker, about 20 k's east of St Arnaud. So there's a challenge for anyone who's up for it.